Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Lakira and I'm a dietitian that helps women to heal from recurring vaginal infections, and I also teach women how to heal from chronic health conditions as well. I may sound a little stuffy because I do have a slight allergy to my cats that I developed randomly over the years, and I'm working on healing my allergies naturally and not just masking it with medication because I don't want to have to rely on Zyrtec and things just to be around my cats. I want to heal my immune system so that I'm not constantly allergic to my own cats. So that's why it may sound stuffy. But anyways, this video is going to be on the necessary nutrients needed in order for your iron recycling system to work. For those who are unfamiliar with the iron recycling system, I have a video in this playlist. It's the first video that explains what the iron recycling system is. It's basically how your body reuses and absorbs iron. And if you deal with iron deficiency anemia that is not being healed, and that whenever you take iron, it gets too high, then when you stop taking it, it gets too low, and there's no in between, then your iron recycling system may be malfunctioning. But the iron recycling system needs certain minerals and nutrients in order for it to function. And we're going to go over this in this video. So by this point, we should all know what vitamins are. They're basically nutrients that we need in our diet, but most people don't understand the definition and the role of minerals and what minerals are. So before we get started, I want to go over what minerals are. So minerals are essential nutrients, meaning that if it's essential, we have to consume it through our diet, that the body needs to function but cannot make on its own. So you must get them from food. They help the body with enzyme function, hormone balance, nervous system regulation, red blood cell production, iron absorption and transport, energy, ATP creation, immune function and detoxification, plus liver health. So we need minerals for all these things. So if you have any hormonal imbalance, you may have mineral deficiencies or maybe a mineral overload. Enzyme function, as in like the enzymes that we release to break down food. Nervous system regulation, because if you're low in minerals like magnesium, then you will, magnesium? Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. If you're low in things like magnesium, it's going to cause more anxiety, stress, and depression, red blood cell production, like I said, and everything else. We need minerals for energy, for our immune system. That's why if you're deficient in iron, it suppresses your immune system, and to help with detoxification and liver health. So without these minerals, key processes in your body slow down. So if you have any mineral imbalances or deficiencies or overload, the processes in your body that need to function will slow down, including your iron recycling system. So what minerals do in the body is they build and activate enzymes. Enzymes basically are like, I want to say they're like catalysts to getting something done. So like digestive enzymes, they help us to break down food so we can better digest it in our bodies, in our gut, and absorb the nutrients from them. Minerals also carry oxygen and regulate blood flow. Iron, for example. Minerals balance fluid. So like potassium, sodium, those are the main minerals that are in control of our fluid. They support brain and nerve communication. They also help to create hormones. They create energy in the mitochondria. They support proper immune and inflammatory response. And they also allow the liver to detoxify estrogen, toxins, and food chemicals. And in the case of iron, minerals like copper, zinc, magnesium, choline, molybdenum, and vitamins like A, C, B12, folate make it possible for your body to use, move, store, release, and absorb iron properly. For those who are wondering where I'm looking at my notes. So that's basically what minerals are, and you can use the words minerals and electrolytes interchangeably because they're basically the same thing. So the reason why minerals matter for iron recycling is because iron does not work alone. Your iron recycling system needs other minerals and vitamins to move iron around, to absorb iron, to release iron, and to use iron. And if you're only taking iron, but you're missing some of these cofactors, you may stay anemic. So that's why some people, they're taking the iron and they're still anemic because they may be missing vitamin C with that iron. They may be missing copper in their diet. So lots of different ways in which we can basically block our own absorption of iron through not knowing what's needed for the iron recycling system to function. So we're going to be breaking down the nutrients needed for the body to actually use iron. So Number one, one of the most important is copper. So copper is basically like the iron activator because copper is essential for turning iron into a form your body can use. So without copper, iron can get stuck in storage, which means you'll have high ferritin and low serum iron. Copper helps load iron into transferrin, which is the protein that transports iron. So transferrin is the protein that transfers iron throughout your body, and copper helps load iron into or onto transferrin. So imagine copper is like one of those guys who's like packing up a truck. Like copper is helping to put iron onto transferrin, which then that protein transports iron throughout the body. So a copper deficiency can look like an iron deficiency even if you're taking supplements. So good sources of copper include organ meats like liver. If you're like me and you're very picky about eating dark meats and stuff like that, you can get an organ meat supplement. One good brand is Ancestral. They have like liver supplements, kidney, things like that. Oysters are another great source of copper. Dark chocolate, cashews, and sesame seeds. These are all good sources of copper. I also have my own personal list of copper-rich food. I don't eat a lot of those things, but salmon, potatoes, whether regular or sweet with the skin on, are rich in copper. Spinach and kale, and avocado. Those are all rich in copper as well. So if you feel like you may be lacking copper, then you can always do your own research and look up more copper-rich foods. But you'll know if you're lacking in copper if typically you have high ferritin and low serum iron levels. 2, vitamin C. This is the most like popularly known fact when it comes to irons, that you have to take it with vitamin C. If you are taking an iron that does not have vitamin C, then you have to take it with a vitamin C source like an orange juice, a kiwi juice, or kiwis or bell peppers or whatever, to increase the absorption, or even like a hibiscus tea. Hibiscus is really high in vitamin C, or moringa. But vitamin C transforms iron into the easiest form for your gut to absorb. So it protects iron from blockers in foods. Like there's certain things called phytates and grains that can block iron from being absorbed. Coffee can block iron from being absorbed. Matcha, high calcium meals, high zinc meals. These can block iron from being absorbed in the body. So they're basically like iron blockers. But when you use vitamin C, it protects iron from these blockers, and it helps to transform iron to the easiest form that your gut can absorb, and it also helps to release stored iron because we store iron as well. So obviously, some vitamin C sources are going to be anything citrus, pineapple, kiwi, bell peppers, broccoli. Every day I drink a carrot ginger turmeric juice for retinol, for vitamin C, to help with healing my uterus from fibroids, and as an anti-inflammatory. It's also good for antihistamine, helping with allergies. So I drink that every day with turmeric, carrot, orange, ginger, turmeric, or pineapple, carrot, ginger, turmeric. It doesn't matter. So that's vitamin C. So make sure that you are consuming your iron with vitamin C. So this can also look like if you have a steak with bell pepper, steak with broccoli. If you have an oatmeal that's fortified with iron, then maybe having some fruit in it that's citrusy, that way you can absorb the iron better. 3, we have retinol, which is a form of vitamin A, and it helps you to mobilize stored iron. So retinol signals to your body to release iron from ferritin, and without enough vitamin A, iron can get stuck in storage, and this can cause iron overload. Vitamin A boosts red blood cell creation in the bone marrow. So some sources of vitamin A include basically any red, orange, not orange, oh my gosh, what? Any red fruits or vegetables, but egg yolks, grass-fed butter, liver, cod liver oil. I recently purchased cod liver oil supplements. I choose to also use pasture-raised eggs because they're the highest quality eggs that retain the most nutrients. Grass-fed butter, ghee is also really good. And liver. If you don't like liver, again, do a supplement that is an organ supplement. And retinol is also really, really good for your skin. So if you deal with acne that doesn't go away, slow healing hidradenitis wounds, slow healing hyperpigmentation, things like that, you may want to consume more retinol, vitamin A rich foods, and balance your minerals, which is why It's important to know how the iron recycling system works. Because when you're iron deficient anemia or anemic, it can cause you to have these skin conditions, slow wound healing. And I actually do have a personal example of this. So I have, and I'm saying have, I don't claim things over my life anymore, but I have a history of hidradenitis. And when I was younger, I used to get a lot of cysts. And over the years, after getting laser hair removal, I no longer got cysts anymore. And this year, I got 2 cysts and they were not healing. Like, it wasn't constantly draining, but it was just like open wounds that were not healing. And then I realized it's because my iron was so low that my skin was not able to heal these wounds. So I started increasing, obviously, my iron through supplementation. In a nursing home or hospital setting, when anyone has open wounds, like bed sores and things that are not healing, us as dietitians, we have to recommend more protein, vitamin C, zinc for skin healing, because those are really important nutrients for skin healing. So for me, I also started taking vitamin C, 2,000 milligrams a day, zinc, 30 milligrams a day. And I'm increasing my iron through supplementation, and I'm also increasing these things through food. And I've also been adding a zinc oxide topical cream to the wounds, and they have been healing literally over the last few days after not being able to heal for months. So this goes to show you the importance of minerals and vitamins and how they work together in order to help you heal your skin. So if you have like dark spots that don't go away, open wounds that are not healing, acne that's not healing, it may be a mineral imbalance. So that's a really important story. Okay, for B12 and folate, because these are needed to build red blood cells. So you can have perfect iron levels, but still be anemic if your B12 and folate are low. So we all need folate, but specifically pregnant women, because without folate, your baby has a higher chance of developing what's called spina bifida, which is when the spine is basically not formed correctly and creates that big bulge in the baby's back. And anyone over the age of 50 has to be taking a B complex because our bodies no longer produce it on its own. So if you're over the age of 50, or if your parents are, your grandparents, whatever, make sure that they're taking a B complex. It's really, really, really important. So B12 and folate help to duplicate DNA for new red blood cells, and they prevent large dysfunctional red blood cells, which is basically called megaloblastic anemia. So some sources of B12 are going to be obviously like your grains, fish, eggs, meat, and for folate, spinach, lentils, and avocado. And fortified gluten products will typically have these as well, because by law, we have to fortify, not we as in me, but the government has to fortify flour products with like B vitamins so that the population isn't deficient, and so that we also don't get high levels of babies being born with spina bifida. That's why you'll see like tortillas or flour or oatmeal or cream of wheat that's fortified with like iron and stuff like that. 5, zinc, because zinc helps with the red blood cell formation, but the timing matters. So zinc and iron can actually compete for absorption. So it's important that if you're taking a zinc that's over 20 milligrams, that it's 2 hours before or after iron. If it's less than 20 milligrams, like 15 or 10 or 5, it won't necessarily compete, but anything above 20, it will compete. So keep that in mind. So for example, I have an iron supplement called Hemaplex, and it has around 5 milligrams of zinc in it, but it's basically an iron supplement. So I looked it up to make sure that it wasn't going to compete with the absorption of each other, and it's not, because it's only 5 milligrams. So zinc is needed for immune cells and proper blood production. Like I said before, zinc is also really, really, really important for skin healing. That's why in nursing homes and hospitals, whenever anyone has any wounds, bed sores, we always recommend zinc and vitamin C, as well as protein for them. So food sources don't cause the same issue when it comes to the competition between zinc and iron. It's only supplements. So if you're eating foods that have zinc and iron, you don't have to necessarily worry so much about them competing for each other. But when it comes to supplements, you have to worry. So, well, not you have to worry, but you have to be mindful. So some sources of zinc include meats, chickpeas, pumpkin seeds are really, really, really high in zinc, organ meats, oysters, Those, I think mussels maybe also, but I know oysters and pumpkin seeds are like the most highest in zinc. So that's really important. Ooh, I have to, okay, no, I'm not gonna sneeze. Okay, 6, magnesium, because it's needed for ATP and red blood cell health. So low magnesium equals poor energy, poor oxygen delivery, and more inflammation. Magnesium supports enzymes involved in iron transport and hemoglobin creation. Magnesium is actually responsible for over 300 biochemical pathways that take place in the body. It's responsible for how we digest food. I forgot which cycle it is because we learned about all these cycles for the RD exam, and I like blocked them out of my head. But magnesium is really, really, really important for helping us to break down and digest food. Sources of magnesium include leafy greens, nuts and seeds, and dark chocolate. 7, molybdenum, which I never know if I'm saying that correctly, but it's something that's overlooked, another mineral, but it's needed for sulfur and detox pathways. It helps convert iron into usable forms and supports liver function, which regulates hepcidin, which hepcidin is an iron blocking hormone. If you want to know more about hepcidin, look at my first video in the iron recycling system. But you can basically get molybdenum from lentils, beans, nuts, and oats. So when you are learning about these minerals, you don't have to worry about how you're going to get like all of these in one, because a lot of these foods are overlapping, if you can't tell by now. So like, for example, let me see what's overlapping so far. Based on my notes, it's kind of hard to tell, but like, for example, lentils provides B vitamins. Lentils also provide iron. Lentils also provide molybdenum. So it's like you can get all 3 of those from just eating lentils. So basically, the more you consume different plant sources, different like organ meats, different vegetable sources, nuts and seeds, you're gonna get a wide mix of all of these minerals and nutrients in your diet. So 8, we have choline. Choline is found in eggs. It's a neurotransmitter that can also help with, I'm sorry guys, that can also help with anxiety and depression, but choline helps with iron release and liver function. So it supports your liver health by regulating hepcidin. It's needed for methylation and red blood cell production. And low choline causes fat buildup in the liver, which will worsen iron being stored. So a good source of choline are egg yolks, salmon, and beef. But egg yolks are one of the most highest sources of choline. And like I said, it's really, really great for mental health. So if you have anxiety and depression, OCD, ADHD, whatever, choline is going to be really great for you. And lastly, we have protein. So protein is one of the 3 macronutrients that we need with all of our meals. All your meals should have protein, healthy fats, and fibrous carbohydrates. And protein is required for hemoglobin itself. So hemoglobin is a protein, and so low protein equals low iron utilization. Transferrin, ferritin, and red blood cells are all protein-based. So the more protein we eat, we can get our iron levels up, especially when we're consuming grass-fed, good quality organic red meats that are high in protein, but also high in iron. So this can look like also eggs, beans, and Greek yogurt, but taking the Greek yogurt away from iron because Greek yogurt is high in calcium, and calcium and iron fight for absorption. So anything that fights for the absorption of iron or fights with it, you want to take it 2 hours before or after taking an iron supplement. But protein, only people that usually have to be mindful of protein, that's more commonly known, people that have like kidney issues. But otherwise, if you're a normal human being, not that they're abnormal, but if you weren't like, if your health and your diet are normal, you should be having protein with all of your meals to help with you getting your iron up. So that's pretty much it for the video. Like I said to you guys, I have a whole playlist on education in regards to the iron recycling system, iron deficiency, anemia. So make sure you guys are watching. If you are deficient, if you know anyone who is deficient or dealing with anemia chronically, send them my series, because it's free education that doctors do not explain because they're not necessarily experts in this. And so the iron recycling system requires way more than just iron. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, obviously if you're missing things like copper, vitamin A, vitamin C, B12, folate, you can stay anemic even with supplements. So that's why a lot of people are taking their iron and nothing is working for them. And iron deficiency anemia is linked to poor skin health, poor vaginal health, poor painful periods. I have a whole video on how I ended up in the hospital because my iron was so low that I had uterine hypoxia, which is basically when my uterus was starved of oxygen and it caused labor contraction like cramps. So your minerals are really, really, really important. You can start off by consuming more roots, fruits, and vegetables. You can also consume mineral mocktails every single day. If you know you are deficient in a mineral, you have to be supplementing it in your diet. And iron deficiency anemia can also be a direct cause of chronic vaginal infection. So if you want to learn how to heal your vagina, I do have my 30-day Vag Reset ebook down below. You can also join my email list to get vaginal tips and women's health education to your email every 3 days. And otherwise, you can watch all the other videos in my channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.